What's going on, my Century Gunnets? It's the Sentiment here, so back again with another WCW pay-per-view review. Oh boy, folks. Oh boy, I'm not saying it in a good way, I'm saying it in a bad way. Traveling back to the year 2000 in WCW in the peak of the Vince Russo era, a lot of swerves, shoots, work shoots, a lot of wacky shit in WCW of that year. So I'm reviewing WCW New Blood Rising 2000, the one and only New Blood Rising in the company's history. So this show was at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, on the 13th of August 2000. The attendance of the show was 6,614. The buy rate of the show is a bit inconsistent. One website says this show drew about 85,000 pay-per-view buys, and one website says the show drew about 70,000 pay-per-view buys. It's one or the other. I don't want to guess it. Here's the comparison. The previous year's pay-per-view, that is the final Road Wild in WCW's history. Road Wild 1999. The main event was Kevin Nash versus Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in a retirement match. I think Road Wild 99, I think they drew about 233 or 34, even I think it was about 235,000 pay-per-view buys. Wow, like night and day. Like WCW in the year 2000, the pay-per-view buy rate department in WCW in the year 2000 kind of declined. 99, it was the last year that the buy rate gone into that 100,000 mark, and traveling back 1 year later, it slumped down into the 1,000 mark. It's just like night and day. One, like 99, you could tell it was the last good year with decent buy rates, and then going into the year 2000, they drew like bad buy rates. I think the lowest WCW pay-per-view of that year was the final Starrcade. I think it's in that not 20. I think it was in that 20. I think it was 20,000. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. It's another pay-per-view review for another time. And here's another comparison. In the same month and the same year, WWF did SummerSlam 2000. The show drew about 570,000 pay-per-view buys. That's known for the first TLC match. The main event was The Rock, Kurt Angle, Triple H. It is for the WWF Championship in a triple threat match. Because WWF in the year 2000 is one of the best years in the company's history. WCW in the year 2000 is the worst year in the company's history, night and day. I'm not doing these reviews to bash on WCW because I don't do I don't review the bad WCW shows. Sometimes I review the good WCW shows, but it's kind of true. WCW in the year 2000 is one of the worst years in the company's history. It's just like I don't want to go into more detail about it. So anyway, the commentators for this show are for New Blood Rising are Tony Schiavone, Scott Hudson, and the poor man's Jerry Lawler, Mark Madden. I never seen this show before, but I heard like bad things about the show. One match they like totally against the script. You had a forklift match. I'll get to that later on. Two women's match, not two, but like a women's match, two women fighting, to take each other's clothes off, fight in a pool of mud and so on, like doing the start of a pregnancy storyline. I'll get to that later on in this review. But yes, some good, but mostly crap. And also we got a rope match. I'll also get to that later on in this review. So anyway, it's just like I'm gonna lose my brain cells. I just like when I watched the show, I kind of lost my brain cell. But yeah, this is like gonna be a bumpy ride, folks. So buckle up, drink a lot of alcohol, whatever beverage you like to drink. This is gonna be, a bumpy ride. So anyway, 11 matches on the show. So the first match to kick off, New Blood Rising 2000. By the way, this is the second of two WCW pay-per-view in Canada. The first one was Mayhem 1999. That's known for crowning of a new WCW World Champion. That was Bret Hart, by the way. Mayhem 99, I reviewed last year on this channel. That was kind of like a wild show. This show, New Blood Rising, this is the second and last WCW pay-per-view in Canada. This show is memorable for bad reasons. Anyway, so the first match to kick off New Blood Rising 2000. This is a double ladder match for a gold record and a record contract. You got all three members of Free Count. I call them New Count, but it's Free Count actually Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore, and Shane Helms, the future Gregory Helms slash the Hurricane, with Tank Abbott. Tank Abbott, you know Tank Abbott. If you don't know, I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell you. Tank Abbott is a former UFC fighter. I'm guessing this is basically WCW's version of trying to be WCW's version of Ken Shamrock, or answer to Ken Shamrock. Even though last Tank Abbott match I review on this segment on this channel was Super Brawl 2000 against Big Al. Leather jacket on the pole match. He was not that good. So that was in February. So fast forward in August that summer, he's now the Free Count fanboy. Holy, for whatever reason, man. So this is a ladder match for a gold record and a recording contract. Before we get to this match, so Free Count, their gimmicks, I'm guessing they're taking shots of every boy band at the time, like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Boyzone, Westlife. They did this song, I'm going to remember this lyrics, folks. It's cheesy. Get up on your feet, sing along with Free Count, get your hands together, we party forever. We hate the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC 2. Britney Spears is kind of cute. We watched, TAR on MTV, Count with Free Count 1, 2, 3. I heard rumors, I've done my research, that this lyrics was wrote by Jimmy Hart. Anyway, and then out come the Young Dragons, by the way. Not young like in the spelling of Y-O-U-N-G, it's J-U-N-G. Anyway, who's Young Dragons? So Young Dragons are Kaz Hayashi, Jamie San. Jamie San is the future Jamie Noble, and Young Yang. Young Yang is the future Jimmy Wang Yang when he ended up doing the Asian Cowboy in WWE, 6-7 years later. Anyway, fucking, I don't really call it racist, but like, first off, you had Jimmy Noble wearing a mask. I don't know, they're kind of like doing it. It's basically racist pairing up. You got like Kaz, he's actually Kaz Hayashi's Japanese. Jimmy Wang Yang, I think he's from I think he's Chinese, or he's Korean. He's Korean, like half Korean. And Jimmy San's not even Asian. He's white. Fuck, I don't want to get into that. So, anyway, so the rules of this match, you have to get 2 items: a gold record and a recording contract. So, and also they kind of buried the fuck out of the gold record, because the most important item in this match, in this ladder match, by the way, is the recording contract. So the goal for the Young Dragons is that they have to get the not the gold record, but the recording contract to start Free Count to perform any recording albums ever again. Anyway, so this match took place, was it 2 weeks before the TLC match? Because the TLC match, that was way better, but this match, not on the same level, but still a good match, but the booking was a bit backwards, because like I said, like the gold record is like meaningless, because if you like a singer, like first off you sign with a recording company of that contract, and then if you're doing well, if you're a good singer, you end up getting like a gold record. It's just like, why they're just burying the fuck out of the gold record beats me. But anyway, I've had some fun. There were some fun spots in this match. Like one more of the match for like 2 members of Free Count. I think it was Shannon and Shane. Like Shane, I'm referring to Shane Helms, not Shane McMahon, by the way. Shane Helms and I think it was Evan or Shannon. Kind of grab one member of Young Dragon by the arms and legs and swing onto the ladder. There were a lot of fun spots, Like one more of the match, Jimmy San, that's Jimmy Noble, did a move off the ladder onto the other competitors in this match. It's not on the same level like Jeff Hardy, Money in the Bank 3, WrestleMania 23 in 2007. No, he did that was on the Toys ladder. Anyway, so Mark Madden By the way, like I said, he's a poor man's Jerry Lawler. I'll get to more in that later on in his review. He has some good point in this match. He said did you know when the crowds cheered, Tank Abbott thinks that's all for him. I'll get to more of that later on. It was really good. It was a really good match. He had some fun, like I said, fun spots. Anyway, so I think it was Jamie San got the gold record. And then suddenly Tank Abbott kind of knocked Tank Abbott. My apologies. I think it was one member of Free Count kind of knocked the ladder, not Jamie Noble or Jamie San. I'm gonna call him Jamie Noble, otherwise this is gonna get confusing. By the way, one of the Free Count members kind of knocked Jamie Noble off the ladder, and then as a result, Noble dropped the gold record, and Tank Abbott got the gold record. So, and like some moments of the match, he kind of holding the record up in the air. Anyway, so in the end, and also like Mark Madden, also he said a good thing about this. He had one good line in this match, but the other one is bad. He said what are the Young Dragons gonna do with the recording contract? They can't sing, and then Shivani says they don't want to sing. They're trying to not have Free Count don't want Free Count to sing. I can't remember the line, but you can tell like Shivani's totally done with Mark Madden. He is fucking terrible. I don't want to get into it. So anyway, in the end, like Tank Abbott is a bit of a dumbass. He almost cost his teammates the match. He knocked two ladders off the ladder when both two members of Free Count and Young Dragons fighting on top of those two ladders. There's also one spot I forgot to mention this. They did like Towers of Doom spots. That's the Legion of Doom's tag team finisher. That was good to see. Anyway, so in the end, the Free Count won this match, grabbed the recording contract, and they basically sing for another day. Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. I'll go back to it. When Mark Madden says why the Young Dragons want to get the recording contract, they can't sing, and then Shivani says they don't want them to sing. They just want to stop. They're trying to prevent Free Count for recording ever contract. So anyway, so yeah, it was a good match. Wasn't going to be like a 4-star classic, but I think they told a good story in the ring. And they did this similar match later on in the year, at the end of the year, at the final Starrcade. I think it was a triangle ladder match with two members of the same group, Young Dragons and Free Count. That's another story for another time. And this was the end of Tank Abbott's time in WCW. For I think the original plan, like he's starting to have a big head, his ego's swelling up. He thought like the fans were cheering for Tank Abbott, but it's mostly the Free Count guys. So for whatever reason, Tank Abbott was gone for the company. You're not gonna see Tank Abbott ever again. He ended up wrestling in Japan, not New Japan, but a different wrestling company in Japan. But you're not gonna see Tank Abbott in a mainstream wrestling company ever again. So it's just for the best, man. Because he brings nothing to the table for that group. Even though Free Count, at least. I don't know. At least you got like the Hurricane out of this, 1 year later. But it didn't really do anything. It was basically just poking fun of boy band groups at the time in the year 2000. So anyway, it was a good opener to kick off the pay-per-view. After that, the show. Actually, there's another match. There's two matches. I'll get to that later on. But you can tell the show was starting to go downhill after the opener. So the next match, we got Ernest Miller. At the time, he is the commissioner of WCW at the time, taking on the Great Muta. It's funny, in our current timeline in 2023, Great Muta got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Before that, you got the Cat and all five members of the Filthy Animals. That's Rey Mysterio Jr. Also, who just got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year in 2023. Hufitu Guerrera, Disco Inferno, Conan, Tigress, and did I say Conan? Yeah, Ray, Conan, Hoovy, Tigress, and Disco Inferno. I say five. Yeah, 5. Anyway, so they said Ray says they want to referee the tag team title match later on the night. And they said they want the shot at the tag team title belts the next night on Nitro. And also, as the result, they said they're going to help the Cat winning his match against the Great Muta. We'll get to that later on, or shortly actually. And then the funny line for Disco Inferno, he says, "Word to your mother," and then the cat says, "Disco, get the hell out of my office, man." Like, it's kind of funny, man. Some people crap on Glenn Gilberti, aka Disco Inferno, but when I saw that segment on this show, it's kind of cracked me up. Disco says, "Word to your mother," and and the cat, Ernest Miller says, "Just get the hell out of my office." So, anyway, like I said, the next match we got the cat, Ernest Miller, at the time the WCW commissioner, taking on the Great Muta, one half of the Dark Carnival. Oh, and by the way, Dark Carnival showed up later on the show, interfered in one of the matches on the show, and also compete in a match. We'll get to the Dark Carnival later on in this review. So anyway, Ernest Miller grabbed the mic, says, I know you don't speak English. He said, like, "You're the Great Muta, I'm gonna whoop your great ass." Anyway, the match was okay. Wasn't gonna be like it's not gonna be like a 4-star classic, But at the same time, wasn't memorable. It was keeping up with Great Muta because both a strong style. I think the cat was a former karate champion. Anyway, so okay, and the only you had no members of Filthy Animals interfered in this match. Actually, there's one. Only Tigress, showed up. In the end, you had Muta spray the green mist into the face of Ernest the Cat Miller. I think Tigress grabbed a chair, jumped. I think she did an axe handle while holding the chair. Dinks the chair onto the head of the Great Muta. In the end, Great Muta hit. Not Great Muta. My apologies. The cat hit the Great Muta with the three-liner kick to win this match. So, I think it was kind of served the purpose because the Filthy Animals want to help the cat winning his match against Great Muta, and they kind of passed with flying colors. Don't worry, folks. The rest of the Filthy Animals group, they show up later on in this on the show later on. I'll get to the rest of the Filthy Animals later on in this review. Sorry, I'm stumbling. Bit of a tongue twisting moment. My throat's a bit dry, by the way. When you're doing a video, folks, always dehydrated. Don't do a video with a dry voice. So yeah. Anyway, so it was an okay match. I felt like a match on Nitro or Thunder, not on a pay-per-view that at the time you spend a lot of money. But it was just whatever. It was short. It was short and sweet for what it is. So anyway, so let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Holy fuck. So we got Buff Bagwell taking on Chris Kanyon, or partially 2D Kanyon, because at the time Kanyon was ripping off the DDP gimmick. Anyway, so this is revolve around Buff Bagwell's real life mom. I think it's real life mom, Judy Bagwell. And I thought it was just an actress, but in reality, this is really Buff Bagwell's real life mom. So anyway, so if Kanyon win this match, Judy Bagwell will become Canyon's manager. Anyway, originally it was supposed to be Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Anyways, he cut a promo towards the fans in Canada. He says he traveled all around Canada to find a pole that holds that big fat battle axe, referring to Judy Bagwell. Anyway, and also they call him. He kind of entered this ring driving the forklift and wearing the hard hats. That's part. It's a callback to Canyon's old gimmick. When he was starting out in WCW before he was Mortis. He was one half of Men on the Work. Look him up. Look that tag team up, by the way. Anyway, the match was short, but I think this was a good match. I really liked this match. Hear me out. Even though the stipulation was shit, but I think they told a good story in the match. It told a good story in the ring between Kanyon and Bagwell. You had a cameo appearance of former WCW World Champion David Arquette. I think he hit Bagwell with the diamond cutter. No, he didn't hit it with the diamond cutter. No, he hit Bagwell because Bagwell was going for the blockbuster. Arquette hit Bagwell with Canyon's builder's hat or a hard hat. So anyway, In the end, Bagwell hit a double blockbuster onto both Canyon and Arquette to win this match to save his beloved mother, Judy Bagwell. So, anyway, it was short and simple. I really like this match. Fighting in the crowd. They told a good story. Yeah, they build up. I think they bring up Bagwell's neck injury in the past. I thought it was a bit boring. I thought it was gonna be boring, but no, it was a. If I give it a star rating, I give it 3 stars. It was a good match. They told a good story in the ring, despite of the other matches on the show I'm gonna talk about later on. But this was really good. It's just like had a good storyline. Both want to save his beloved mother from Canyon. Anyway, so afterwards, Canyon hit the Canyon cutter onto David Arquette. You're not gonna see David Arquette ever again because, yeah, the reason why I said former WCW World Champion David Arquette because he defeat DDP for the I think it was a triple threat or fatal 4-way. I think it was a tag team match actually on an episode of Thunder I think it was in April. Arquette won the world title. That was just promoting Ready to Rumble. Unfortunately, that film didn't do well in the box office, so yeah, you won't see David Arquette in a mainstream wrestling. He appeared in day-to-day programming, like when day-to-day did like the Slammy Awards, but the most recent appearance in professional wrestling for David Arquette fought against Nick Cage. I think it was an event. I don't know what show. It's on an episode. Go watch Dark Side of the Ring for more information about it. I think they did. I think it was an episode about Nick Gage. Anyway, so yeah, it was like I said, I give it 3 stars in that Judy Bagwell and the forklift match between both Bagwell and Chris Canyon, or Posituli Canyon, because I forgot to mention this. The title of New Blood Rising. It's named after the New Blood faction that was the faction with Russo, Bischoff, Steiner, basically any young talent represent WCW at the time. They were kind of feuding with the Millionaires Club. That was another faction, with a group with a faction with Hogan, Sting, Flair, DDP. Basically, they hate the Millionaire Club because the Millionaire Club are the old guys past their primes. They're stealing the spotlight. The Millionaire Club are the young up-and-coming talents, But that was really a stupid faction because the Millionaires Club are the baby faces and the New Blood group are the heels. And they kind of just stopped that storyline because at this moment in time in August, the New Blood faction was disbanded in July. So yeah, I don't want to get into it. If I one day review Slamboree 2000, I might review it in the future, but not right now. I've got to mention this. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. After this match, you could tell the show went downhill. So the next match, this is a 4 corners match for the WCW not World Heavyweight title, my apologies. This is for the WCW World Tag Team Championship. So we got 2 members of Chronic. That is Brian Adams and Brian Clark, the former Crush and Annenbaum in the WWF. Defending the belts against the Perfect Offense. That is Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo. Sean O'Hare and Mark Jinrak. And 2 members represent the Misfits in Action. That is Hugh G. Retchen and Corporate Kahan. Jen Retchen, that is the former Hugh Morris. And Corporal Kahan, that is the former Lash LaRue. And also you got all members of the Filthy Animals as special guest referee. Disco's referee in the ring. By the way, yeah, like I said, Chronic were the tag team champions, but the build up to this, Filthy Animals stole the tag team title belts from Chronic. I need a drink, man. My throat's a bit dry. Anyway, Disco informed the other tag teams in this match. If one of the tag teams put their hands on the referees, they could disqualify, and the match is over. Anyway, so this match is a clusterfuck. members of Filthy Animals, got involved. Like I think one more of the match, Tigress hit like the Bronco Buster onto a huge erection, and Mark Madden says, "Do me, do me." I hate this show. Mark Madden was being the cheerleader of this group, trying to be a cheerleader every time he stick up to the heel. I don't want to get into that. Anyway, so this was a clusterfuck. Like I said, you know, like the Filthy Animals attacking the other tag teams in this match. I think like you got MIA, Magnificent Action, and Chronic are the babyfaces. Palumbo and Stasiak and Jinrak and O'Hare are the heels. Anyway, and also you got the Dark Carnival guy involved. I think you got Vampiro, Muta, and the demon, not the demon. I think it was the demon Del Telborg. Interfered. Anyway, Disco was being the heel referee, doing the slow count. It's like, yeah, this was too much whistle blowing. I don't want to get into it. So in the end, you got Lieutenant Loco. That's Chavo Guerrero, by the way. Attack Disco Inferno, and basically barely put on the referee the T-shirt. Carter went on to win this match, retained the tag team titles. I think he chokeslam. I think it was Sean. Oh no, Sean, not Sean here. I think it was Chuck Palumbo. I think it is Chuck Palumbo. I don't know, man. Anyway, so Chronic won this match, retained the tag team titles, and that was it. So yeah, it was a clusterfuck, it's a clusterfuck, First off, how the fuck is Chavo Guerrero appeared out of nowhere, and now he's a referee? You got a referee with 4 referees around the ring. You can tell like I think Conan was on commentary. Ray, Tigress, and Huey are the enforcers. What the fuck? I think what they're saying, like they want to referee the tag team title match. They meant serious, man. I don't want to get into it, man. I end up losing brain cells. I'm trying to keep it, otherwise it's gonna be a very, 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 very long review. Try to move on to the other matches on the show. This is the worst, man. It's just like 4 referees, like yeah, 4 referees had no business, got interfered. It was, too much of the clusterfuck, On the flip side, or kind of a flip side, this was the start of the formation of the Natural Born Thrillers. That was a heel faction group. If you don't know who is the Natural Born Thrillers, is a faction with Sean Stasiak, Chuck Palumbo, Sean O'Hare, and Mark Jinrak. That was managed by Mike Sanders. That was in the second half of WCW in the year 2000. That's another story for another time. So anyway, let's move on to the next match, and this is a strap match, folks. So we got the franchise Shane Douglas with Tori Wilson in his corner, taking on Billy Kidman. So Tori Wilson used to be the girlfriend of Billy Kidman, but she turned her back onto Kidman to align himself with Shane Douglas, and that led to Billy Kidman turn babyface. This was after the failed rivalry between Billy Kidman and Hulk Hogan, because the plans to have Kidman beating Hulk Hogan and trying to buff him up the card, trying to make him out like a top guy in the company. Unfortunately, it completely backfired. I don't want to get into it. I reviewed Kidman and Hogan's match at Great Mega Bash 2000. It was years ago. Go and check it out. But anyway, it was trying to get Kidman over. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it kind of bombed. Kidman's a good worker. I think the one thing he's lacking is personality and charisma. Anyway, so the build up to this, like I said, Tori turned on Kidman, and Kidman kind of like released their, I think it was kind of like showed their porn on live TV. And then on the Go Home Nitro, they did this infamous Viagra on the pole match. That's the typical trademark Vince Russo match in his time in WCW. I think he did pole matches in the WWF as well. I don't want to get into it. So, people say that forklift match from earlier was an infamous match. Yeah, it's just meaningless. I don't want to get into it. But anyway, so the match between Shane Douglas and Billy Kidman sucked. It was boring. It was 8 minutes long, but I'm glad they didn't go to that four corner shit. It's just boring. You have to touch all four corners around the ring. If someone did like a move, you have to start over again. It gets boring. It gets repetitive. This it's still bad, but I'm glad they used the whip as the weapon. But besides that, it was boring. I try to keep it short and simple. Like one more, Tori Wilson got involved a lot in this match. Shane Douglas hit the Pittsburgh plunge onto Kidman, but Kidman kicked out. In the end, Kidman got the victory, hit the Kid Crusher, that is the Unprettier / the Kill Switch onto Shane Douglas to win this match. And then afterwards, Kidman whipped Tori Wilson with the belt or the whip, and then Shane whipped Billy Kidman, choked him. He did like a hangman spot off the top rope, and then out comes Vito for the rescue, then Reno for the beatdown, and Vito like clear out the ring, and that was it. So yeah, it was. I don't want to get into this strap matches. Strap matches sometimes could be hit or miss, but this was just a miss. Boring. Too much interference by Tori Wilson. And I think like for Kidman, I think he got hurt or he didn't got injured. Yeah, he got choked. He got choked with the rope. He got choked with the rope. And for whatever, by Shane Douglas, because at the time I don't think Shane Douglas was doing anything at the time. I know he came to WCW for the money because the ECW, like I said, it didn't really have the financial resources as WCW and the WWF at the time. That's what it is. So, he's just like, he got choked. Yeah, he got choked. Unfortunately, he was out for several weeks. I think he's selling the effects of getting choked by Shane Douglas after the strap match. So it's just what it is. He did. And at the end of WCW, he went on to become the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. That's another story for another time with Rey Mysterio. Anyway, let's move on to the next match. Oh boy, and things got worse. So the next match, this is a TCR? No, TRC. It basically stands for Rip Up the Clothes or Rip Up the Camouflage. On Wikipedia it says, Mud Rip Off the Clothes match. Major Guns represent Mr. in Action, taking on Miss Hancock. Miss Hancock is Stacy Keibler. Boy, this is not good. The wrestle fine. It was built as a cat fight type of. It was built as a cat fight. The fans really like it because they want to see half naked women showing their tits and cleavage and wearing bikinis. Anyway, so Miss Hancock, that's Stacy Keibler, another even though she's not a wrestler, another person in our current timeline got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. She was selling her stomach, and then they were fighting in a mud hole, and then she was dancing for a little bit, and suddenly she felt a cramp in her stomach. She was holding her stomach. Miss Guns won this match. Oh, Major Guns, my apologies. Major Guns pins Miss Hancock for the win. Out comes David Flair, trying to, get medical attention. And the fucking announcers, they're doing the real voice, doing the Owen Hart voice. They're selling it like Stacy Keibler or Miss Hancock, whatever you call her. They're selling it like she's dead. She got killed on pay-per-view. And yeah, and then they're referring to her real name, Stacy Keibler, bringing her background like she used to be a Nitro girl. And Madden is a dick in this. There's one line says, "I didn't know she got punched in the gut that hard." Mark Madden, man. Like, that's the reason why he's a poor man's Jerry Lawler. At least with Lawler, he can say things and get away with it. For Madden, he's just like I think his shtick is a bit too forced. I don't want to get into it. So, anyway, so this is leading up to a pregnancy storyline. So, because at the time, David Flair and Stacy Keibler were an on-screen and real-life couple. There were plans to do this storyline like, Stacy referring to David Flair that you're not the father. They're doing this, who is the daddy of Stacy Keibler's baby. There's rumors there's going to be Ric Flair's going to be the father. another candidate, both Bagwell's to be the father of Stacey's kid, and also not Jim Duggan, Vince Russo's also rumored to be the father of Stacy Keibler's kid, but for whatever reason, they took Stacy Keibler off television and never bring it ever again. So what a waste of time. They're trying to do this Jerry Springer soap opera storyline in professional wrestling, like WWE will do it years later with the whole Kane, Lita, Gene Snitsky, it's just like had no business to be. This has no place to be in professional wrestling doing this who is the kid soap opera type of storyline. It's just like, really, I don't want to get into it. So yeah, this match was purposely to set up, hey, Stacey's going to be pregnant of a child, but for whatever reason, they're going to scrap it. So I don't want to get into it, man. Like I said, by the time I'm recording this is like 10:30. Try to keep it short and simple, folks. But I'm trying to keep the noise down. But besides that, it was stupid. Why Russo trying to do this storyline? Like I think he did with Terry Reynolds, but Russo. Oh my! I don't want to get into Vince Russo, man. I don't want to do this to bash on Russo in this video, but it's just like his ideas are backfired. It's basically one of his crash TV shit, that he's known for in WWF, but it's just never going to work in WCW because the WCW fans don't want to see the crash TV. If they want to see the crash TV, they end up watch WWF. They want to see the alternative to the WWF. They want to see traditional wrestling. You don't want to see it in a soap opera storyline, the sports entertainment side. They're just trying to do that, but unfortunately, he's trying to do, Russo's trying to do his version in the WWF in WCW. It kind of backfired. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, doing this storyline that's never going to fulfilled. Anyway, let's move on to the next match, folks. So, and this is the shortest match of the night. It's only lasts about 52 seconds. We got Sting taking on the Demon Dale Torborg. Anyway, this is still in this rivalry between Sting and Vampiro. So it started in early spring, late spring into the early summer of the year 2000. In June, Vampiro and Sting had the Human Torch match at the final Great American Bash. That was completely fucking stupid. You had the fake Sting set on fire, and the announcer sounded like Sting got killed. Then at the final Bash the Beach, the previous month, Vampiro and the Demon Del Torborg fight at Bash of the Beach. I think it was a outside swamp casket match. I did review it in the past, but that was I did it on StreamYard. I will review that show, one day, or re-review that show anyway. So I think Vampiro won this match, and then Sting made his return with his minions. He's trying to rip off. They're doing this rip off Undertaker Druid stuff with Druids wearing Sting masks. And Sting came back, appeared in the casket to sell this match against the Demon Del Torborg. At this moment in time, I think he should have laughed because the only reason why they brought the Demon Del Torborg to WCW because WCW trying to do this working relationship with Kiss, but at this moment in time, the deal fell through, so they decided to keep Del Torborg in the company. And also at the same time, he was feuding with Vampiro, and for whatever reason, if you can't beat him, join him. So he's part of the Dark Carnival with Vampiro and Great Muta. Anyway, so this match lasted about 52 seconds. Sting came down to the rafters, beat down Vampiro, hit the Scorpion Death Drop, he won. And afterwards, we got the Dark Carnival beat down Sting. Out comes Chronic, and Chronic announced they're going to put the tag team titles on the line against the Dark Carnival. We'll get to that match later on. So that was a waste of a Sting match. A waste of a Sting appearance on this show. Like, my gut feeling why they're trying to do this storyline with him and Vampiro, it's similar to Hogan and Kidman, but unfortunately that didn't work. Vampiro, he's wearing the Juggalo face paint. But by the way, Vampiro ended up becoming a future founder of Lucha Underground. So anyway, he just like doesn't have it. He just doesn't have the chops. He didn't do anything. Like it's not working. They're trying to have an established guy Sting putting over a guy he's not getting over. I'm not gonna get into Vampiro. Like maybe I'm just too young to understand it because I'm 28, by the way. I was like 6 years old. I'm not gonna get into it, but Vampiro. I know who Sting is. I've seen Sting. My first exposure to Sting, it was TNA, not WCW. But anyway, but with Sting, I feel, my gut feeling, they're trying to bear the fuck out of Sting. Russo trying to bear the fuck out of Sting. This is similar to Jim Herd bearing the fuck out of Ric Flair in 1991. Jim Herd buried the fuck out of Ric Flair because of his age. Russo's doing the same with Sting because he was also, not old, but because at the time, in the start of the 90s, Ric Flair was 42, and then a decade later in the year 2000, Sting was also 42, but if you're good enough, you're old enough. Sting was the top guy for almost a decade. Why the fuck does Russo want to bury the fuck out of him? Burying the fuck out of the top guy in the company for almost a decade, or for years. I don't get it. I don't want to get into it, but it's just like, you waste Sting in this match. If I was Sting, you should have, like, guys released and go to the WWF and do their Undertaker rivalry. Instead of like stay until the last Nitro. I get with Sting, he's the loyal WCW guy, he's been there for thick or thin, but because even it's just like I think Sting's been wasted in WCW. He's just basically dwindled his thumbs in mid card feuds. The world title opportunities passed him by. He's never won the world title ever again in his rest of his run in WCW. It's like putting over a guy that doesn't have the chops. Same as Hogan. Hogan, like, trying to put over Kidman. It didn't work because Kidman just didn't have the chops. I don't want to get into it. Not ran over, but it's just like get my points. I'm trying to get my points across. And Del Torborg, he ended up leaving the group. He ended up, I don't know why he ended up going to WCW, and also like it's funny, like he's in Impact Wrestling. He's just wrestling in Impact Wrestling. I never knew he wrestled in Impact Wrestling. I never knew that. But as for the Demon sticked around. He ended up leaving the Dark Carnival, and he phased out of the group, and he ended up like going. I think he's worked for the XWF. That's in 2001. Anyway, let's move on. So moving on to, in my opinion, this is technically the by default the match of the night. This is for the Canadian Heavyweight Championship. We got Lance Storm defending the belt against Mike Awesome. I know they don't have a Canadian Heavyweight Championship. The Canadian Heavyweight Championship is the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. So Lance Storm jumped ship to ECW to WCW, and he by the way, here's the backstory. So at Bash of the Beach, Scott Steiner fought against Mike Awesome. At the time, Mike, call him Mike, but the Cat Ernest Miller kind of like banned Steiner to using the Steiner recliner in his match against Mike Awesome at Bash of the Beach. Steiner ignored the decision. It kind of ignored Ernest the Cat Miller and locked in the Steiner recliner. And as a result, Steiner was stripped of the United States title belt. So they decided to do a tournament to crown a new United States champion that was won by Lance Storm. And Lance Storm immediately christened it as the Canadian Heavyweight Championship. He basically put a Canadian flag sticker on top of it. And then he went on to win the Cruiserweight, I think it was the Cruiserweight and the Hardcore title, and christened it with other Canadian themed names. Like, I think he called the Cruiserweight title the Canadian 100 kilogram championship, and the Saskatchewan Hardcore Championship. And also the build up to this, he fought against Booker T for the World Heavyweight title. So they give Lance Storm this big push. He was the Saskatchewan Hardcore Champion, the 100 kilogram Canadian champion, and also he's the Canadian Heavyweight title champion. It's very confusing, but anyway, so you got a really good crowd. You got a good reaction because this show's in Canada. It's in Vancouver. And he kind of put over the fans in Canada. He said Canada's the best the best country in the world. He said in America they treat him badly. The fans chant like US sucks. And then in the I don't it's hard to describe this Canadian rules match. So he announced that in the Canadian rule book, or the Canadian wrestling rule book, he decided to have a special referee, his own referee. That is Jacques Rougeau. Out comes Jacques Rougeau. He came out with the Canadian national anthem. Then they kind of stand up. Tell the fans to stand up and all rise for the Canadian national anthem. And the fans really liked it. It's funny. In the last WCW pay-per-view review was World War III 1986. It was Holland Heat versus the French Canadians. That's Jacques Rougeau and was it Carl Ouellet, the former Jean-Pierre Lafitte. They did they're singing the Canadian national anthem. That was designed to get some heat. In this match at New Blood Rising, you could tell the fans really getting behind Lance Storm, make him as the new Canadian hero, not heel but hero. Anyway, out comes Mike Awesome. At this moment in time, Mike Awesome is finished in WCW. He came to WCW in the spring as he jumped ship to ECW as the ECW World Champion. He was the career killer, and then at this moment in time, he's now the fat chick thriller. Anyway, I don't want to get into it. So anyway, the match was really good. I really enjoyed this match. So Mike Awesome hit the Awesome Bomb onto Lance Storm. Referee did the 3 count. That's Slick Johnson, by the way. The fans booed. Then you got Jacques Rougeau, a special guest referee, because in the Canadian rule books, because Lance Storm wants a special guest referee or a special guest enforcer, and he told the ring announcer Dave Pensa that you only win by a 5 count. So, the fans booed. I think they were trying bullshit, because, Awesome and the American defeat the Canadian hero Lance Storm. So, like I said, the match have to win by a 5 count. So, Mike Awesome hit I think it was a splash up the top rope. The referee did the 5 count. Awesome won again. Then the Canadian rules change again. So once again, Rougeau tell Dave Pensa that you have to win. The person who got pinned by the 5 count needs to get up. So I think it's a callback to Savage and Crush from WrestleMania 10. So he get back up. I think there's also no DQ. I thought there's gonna be. I thought one more of the match was gonna end in DQ, but it wasn't. So great example. Storm hit Awesome in the head with the chair. Anyway, there was one botch. Awesome was trying to do a move off the top rope. He slept. The fans laughed, but Awesome countered with the clothesline onto Storm. Anyway, so Storm and Awesome crashed through the table, both down. They got until the count of 10, but the rules change in the Canadian rules match. The first person get up the count of 10 wins this match. So in the end, Jacques Rougeau, Dex, Mike Awesome, Lance Storm won this match. And still the reigning defending Canadian heavyweight champion. I'll get more of this Canadian rules match shortly. Out comes Bret Hart, and he hugged and endorsed Lance Storm. Basically give Lance Storm his adornments. And now Lance Storm is now, you haven't seen Bret. You never see Bret Hart. This is Bret Hart's first appearance since he kind of retired due to the concussion sustained against Goldberg at Starrcade '99 the previous year. He had some matches, in WCW in the early parts of 2000 before he retired due to the concussion injury. So anyway, Brett kind of hugged Jacques Rougeau and Lance Storm. It's really good. He got that. It's good to see Brett hugging Lance Storm and praising Lance Storm. My only nitpick: I wish this show was in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The only wrestling pay-per-view in Calgary, in Canada, was Canadian Stampede 1997. Anyway, so you won't see Bret Hart ever again in WCW. After this, the next, he appeared in what was it, World Wrestling All Stars in Australia, and then 10 years later he ended up coming back to the WWE. That's another story for another time. Anyway, so the Canadian Rules match, it kind of worked. The fans like it. If it was in America, I think the fans in America will shit on it. WWF will do it 1 year later in the Duchess of Queensberry match between Regal and Jericho. I think that didn't work because it was in America. If it was in the United Kingdom, Regal's home country, could work, but I think it's a new concept. The fans like it because they treat Lance Storm as this big Canadian. He's the big Canadian hero. He's got that push. He's got the championships in the bag. Anyway, so this was the start of the Team Canada faction in WCW. Elix Skipper, Jacques Rougeau, Carlette. And also they added good old USA Jim Duggan in that group, and also Mike Austin, who's feuding with Lance Storm in this match, also joined the faction later on in the year. This was after I ended up doing the whole that 70s guy. I don't want to get into it, so anyway, I like this faction. I like this match. I'm glad I don't want to see it ever again. But besides that, I like it. It's kind of get what reaction the Canadian fans gonna get. Are they gonna shit this? Are they gonna shit this match or love it? And I kind of like it. You could do this type of match. If it's in a foreign country with a foreign heel, it might work. But that's my 2 cents on it, man. It's hard to describe this match, because we haven't seen this type of match, in a mainstream wrestling for almost 20 plus years. Maybe in outside of wrestling, outside of the mainstream wrestling companies, maybe on the indie scene, but like I said, with the right heel, with the right environment, it might work. I think it's like a new match type, and I think WCW kind of pull it off with flying colors. Anyway, I call it match of the night. I really enjoy this match between Storm and Austin, even though they end up, Mike Austin end up joining the Team Canada faction later on. So it's just like take it or leave it. So anyway, moving on to the next match. So the next match, oh boy, this is the Improv 2 match. This is for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. Chronic defending the belt against Dark Carnival, that is Vampiro and the Great Muta. Forgot to mention this. Chronic was in the middle of their second reign as the tag team champions. They won the belts at Bash the Beach the previous month. Forgot to mention that when I talked about the four-way match earlier. Anyway, nothing much to talk about. It was okay, but at the same time, kind of boring. Actually, not okay. Actually, while I'm saying it, it was not a good match. I found it was a bit boring. Out comes the Harris brothers. That's the former, was it Gerald and Patrick, the Craig Control team when Vince Russo was the powers can be. That was in his early months when Vince Russo was starting out as the head writer in WCW. So I'm stumbling, but and also the former Skull and 8 Ball, part of DOA in the WWF, and also the Beverly Brothers. They came to the crowd. Muta sprayed the green mist in the face of the referee. The Harris twins attacked one of the members of Chronic with the H-bomb. Muta did the the moonsault to win this match and retain, and win the tag team championships. By the way, this is the only time that the tag team titles change hands on the show. Anyway, so and afterwards, the Dark Carnival celebrated with but there was some fans dressed up like juggalos. they kind of posed with the Juggalos, and that was it. So unfortunately, that's not mean anything because the next night on Nitro, the Dark Carnival dropped the tag team titles to the Filthy Animals because they asked the commissioner, Ernest Miller, they want the shot at the tag team titles, and yeah, they did. Like they told what Ernest Miller told them to do. Return the tag team title belts. They become the referees in that 4-way tag team title match. And now they went on to win the tag team titles the next night on Nitro against the Dark Carnival. And I think this was the sign for Chronic, feuding with the Harris twins. I think Chronic is basically their answer to the APA. I don't want to get into it, so... And oh boy, and this is a bad match, man. The worst match of the night. And this is a triple threat match. Who will face the WCW World Champion at Fall Brawl the following month? So, Kevin Nash taking on Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner and Goldberg. Both showed up. Nash and Steiner showed up. Goldberg did not show up. I'll get to that shortly. So, here's the backstory of this. So, Goldberg turned on Kevin Nash. This was, I think, when Jeff Jarrett was the world champion. That was at the final Great American Bash in June. Goldberg turned heel. I said that was one of the biggest nails in WCW's coffin, turning Goldberg as a heel. That was in June. Then, fast forward in July, Goldberg and Kevin Nash fought each other at Bash of the Beach the previous month in July, the final Bash of the Beach in WCW history. When Scott Hall's contract was on the line, Scott Steiner, turned on Kevin Nash to align himself with Goldberg. It didn't last long because they turned each other afterwards. So anyway, now we got this match in August. Winner face the WCW World Champion at Fall Brawl in September. So anyway, the announcers in this match announced that Goldberg, he suffered a kayfabe injury. He suffered a mysterious motorcycle accident in South Dakota, even though this show's in Canada, in Vancouver. Anyway, so they played Goldberg's theme music twice, did not show up, so the first half of the match, it was just a one-on-one match between Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner. Then Goldberg showed up, wearing bandages. I heard bad things about this match. I'll get to more of this, so... Anyway, here's, the first half was starting to be an okay match, wasn't anything perfectly, but it was starting to be, the match was okay, and here's the coup de grace. Okay, Kevin Nash trying to hit Goldberg with the jackknife powerbomb. Goldberg pushed Nash off, left the ring, out comes Vince Russo. Russo tells Goldberg to get back in the ring. Both of them get each other's, basically Goldberg got in the face of Russo for vice versa. They both got in each other's faces. Goldberg said to Vince Russo, "Fuck you," left the ring. Russo left with him. And also in this match, they're doing this insider terms and references. I think it was not Madden. I think it was Scott Hudson or Schiavone. Said it brings up Goldberg, Nash, Starrcade '98. Kevin Nash was going business for himself because at the time Kevin Nash was the booker of WCW in 1998. So. Anyway, so Schiavone says Goldberg, the original finish of the match, was supposed to be, Nash trying to hit Goldberg with the jackknife powerbomb. Are they going to improvise? I don't want to get into that. So anyway, after Goldberg left the ring, the match went to shit. It went downhill. First off, Goldberg against the script. Went against the script, and then out comes Medacia, that's Scott Steiner's freak. Got involved, attacked Kevin Nash in this match. So anyway, in the end, Nash hit the jackknife powerbomb onto Scott Steiner to win this match, and he's become the #1 contender for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. This match sucked for the wrong reasons. So it's just basically, they just admit that WCW, Russo and WCW admits that wrestling's fake. This is the one thing you should never do. You don't want to say, hey, man, what you're watching is not real. You don't want to do that. You want to expand beliefs. I think that, they went too far in it. Like Goldberg was never the same after that. I think that really finished Goldberg in. He's not over as the character. Yeah, they didn't. The announcers were burying the fuck out of Goldberg. I think Goldberg was unprofessional doing this. Yeah, they were burying the fuck out of Goldberg, calling him a crybaby. I think Scott Hudson called Goldberg a crybaby. Like it's just like fucking terrible. And yeah, after that, too much interference by Malaysia. I think the wrong person got over. In my opinion, I wish Scott Steiner should have won this match because Steiner went out to win the world title in November of that year, but I wish he just won the title sooner than later. I did Mayhem in the past. The final Mayhem. I might review that in the future, but anyway, yeah. No one got over in this match. Like they did this whole thing. Who is professional? Who is not? They're doing this. Wrestling is real. Wrestling is fake. Why you're doing it? It's okay if you're doing it with like comedy wrestlers, but with main event guys, this is supposed to be a no one contendership match for your most prestigious championship in the company. You're doing a storyline like who's professional, who's who's not. Wrestling is real, wrestling is a joke, wrestling is fake. Is people going to watch and tune in? Probably not. I think like this match, like once like they did this match, people are not gonna tune in, and I think it's accomplished, man. So yeah, I don't want to get into it in more details of it. It's absolute stupid. Why they did this. This is a sackable offense for Russo. Like I think that is stupid. Like doing this. Hey, let's do this match and do this thing. This booking of this match. Let's have one wrestler turn against the script, and just says wrestling is fake. It's stupid. I don't want to get into it. I think Goldberg, like I said, he was unprofessional. But I think at the same time, I think he's a bit frustrated. Like it's fucking sad for Goldberg. But like 2 years prior, he was the top guy. He was a world champion. He was undefeated. Fast forward 2 years into the future in the year 2000, he was kind of like the afterthought. He's an aftermath. I don't want to get into it. So yeah, no one got over, man. It's just like Russo. That is a sackable offense. I don't want to do it. This video is not really designed to bash on Vince Russo. I don't give a fuck about him. But his booking is just like it's going down the shitter, man. I feel sorry for WCW, like, at the time, in 1996, 97, it was their golden years, and you can say on a certain degree 1998, and then fast forward in the year 2000, the company went downhill. It's just like, wow, it's just like, it's night and day. They had a good boom period, and now they're starting to decline. So it's one of the reasons why the company went over in 2001. I don't want to get into it, so that's another story for another time. So anyway, let's move on to the next match, man. So moving on to the main event. Yeah, basically it was a work shoot, by the way, but yeah, I don't want to shout and effing and jeffing. It's just what it is, man. So let's move on to the main event. The main event, this is for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Booker T defending the belt against the chosen one, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. So this is a rematch from Bash at the Beach that Booker T won his first of 6 world titles in his career, first of 5 WCW World Championships in his run in WCW. So the build up to this, Jeff Jarrett attacked Booker T, attacked his leg, and also attacked his wife at the time. It's not Charmel, that was Booker T's first wife. I don't know whose the first wife is. They got divorced the previous year. Yeah, the build up to this on this show, you had Jeff Jarrett attack Booker T's leg with the car door. Anyway, so both got catchphrase. Jeff Jarrett's calling the fans, not the fans, his opponents, slap nuts. Booker T's catchphrase is "Don't hate the player, hate the game." Maybe it was one of the reasons why he got beat and buried by Triple H at WrestleMania 19 in 2003. Anyway, the match was okay. It was take it or leave it. Jarrett was working on the leg on Booker T. Lock him in the figure 4 leg lock. smacking the chair onto the injured leg of Booker T. I think one more of the match I think he hit Booker T with a scissor kick. I think it was a move at the top rope, or I think it was a scissor kick onto Jeff Jarrett that caused like injured the leg. He didn't really proper injure his leg. He hit the scissor kick, and then Booker T was injured itself the leg. Anyways, and also it was a lot of fuck finish. That's the problem with this show. There was a lot of like bullshit and fuck finish. Like there was a referee, referee got attacked. Jarrett hit I think it was a ginger hair referee with the chair. I think he hit Slick Johnson. There were a lot of referee bumps. It was overbooked. One more of the match. Booker T hit the bookend onto Jarrett through a table off the ring apron. It was just like I'm not saying it was a bad match. It was just like this match. You didn't really see a single match with a clean finish. It's just interference, bullshit finish, fuck finish. Don't want to get into it. So anyway, so in the end, Booker T hit. I think he hit. Booker T win this match. I think he hit the bookend to win this match. Retained the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. To end the show. So it was set up. Booker T versus Kevin Nash at Fall Brawl. So, unfortunately, that's not the case, or kind of the case. So, 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior, or 3 weeks after this, Kevin Nash beat Booker T. Then they had the rematch at the final Fall Brawl. Booker T went on to win back the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and then afterwards, Booker T ended up dropping the title to Vince Russo in that rip-off Hell in a Cell match. It was a cage match. It was a self-proclaimed cage match, but in reality, it was their knockoff version of Hell in a Cell, and that's another story for another time. I might review Fall Brawl 2000 in the future, but anyway, so my final overall rating of WCW New Blood Rising, the one and only New Blood Rising in the company's history, I give it 1. I wish I'd give it a 0, a big fat 0, but I give it a 1. It is a shit show. You only got 3 good matches on the show. They are memorable for bad. They're good matches for bad reasons. Like I like the opener was good. Like the Young Dragons 3 count ladder match. I like the forklift on the pole match, or Judy Bagwell on the forklift match. That was bad stipulation, but still a good match between Bagwell and Canyon. And the Canadian Rules match between Storm and Awesome. Besides that, that's it. The OK is just Muda versus Ernest Miller. But besides that, a lot of bad. I don't want to get into the matches on the bad. They were bad, The triple threat match, the strap match, the tag team title matches were fucking terrible. No one got over, man. No one got over. I hate to like I'm not doing this to bash on WCW, but like I said, I do review good WCW shows in the past, but this is a bad fucking show. I'm not gonna do like every other time going to review some WCW 2000 shows. That's not my goal. There's other like bad shows in the past, because that's not really true. WCW do put on some good shows. It's like other wrestling companies, like WWE. Sometimes they put up bad shows, and sometimes they put on good shows. It's one or the other. So anyway, so it's fucking sad. Like it's really fucking sad. Like another comparison, like in WWE 2000, they were doing the big business. It was the best year in the company's history. You got like, even though they got Stone Cold, who's still there, even though he's not wrestling. The two guys had a stronger hold of the world title. That was The Rock and Triple H. And also at the same time, I know WCW were building like Booker T and Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett up, the young up-and-coming talent. But at the same time, I think WWE did the same thing, but did it better, because WWF at the same time was also building younger up-and-coming talents, like guys like Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit. They end up becoming world champions in the next year or two, And also, I forgot to mention this, in like the tag team division in the WWF term was way better in WCW. Like the tag team division in WCW was actually crap, Maybe I'm not old enough to see WCW at the time, but on the WWF side, like you got guys like tag teams like over tag teams like the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian, APA, Tess and Albert. Like on the WCW side, what you got? Chronic, maybe. You had the Mamelukes, two Filthy Animals, MRA. I don't want to get into it. It's just like night and day. One's doing the good business and one's doing the bad business. That's all I'm gonna say, man. So